Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. It's a gray, stormy day. And so I had to scoot over to where the lighting was a little bit better because it's hard to get any while the grayness shifts. With that being said, I wanted to keep going in on the thread idea that a viewer commented about, what are some realistic things to expect in a marriage, signs of a healthy relationship versus a non-one. And this got me to thinking about how a good wife can manage her mood swings. Mood swings are a serious problem, and a lot of women have schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, anger management disorders, and they are not really fun to be around. Let's put it that way. So if you're going to marry a chick and you may be like, oh, she's hot, she's sexy, but she has these terrible mood swings, you got to think about how your mind is going to be just getting whipped, clawed at, gnawed on, and she will be like a vampire to your energy, and she will just make you feel sick to the point where you're just going to hate her. Now, on my community tab, I posted a screenshot of a reel where a husband simply touches his wife and she calls it copping a feel. And it's it's a nagging reel. Like, husbands should know not to touch us when we're cleaning. And it's like women get in these moods and then they expect their husband to be a sort of magician mind reader, and they simply are these aggressive cats. Cats, you'll pet them and they freak out and they bite you and they claw, they run away, and then they come back purring, and it's very confusing. Cats are harder to please than birds and dogs, in my opinion. And so a woman can get just as catty, and she has to stop and say, am I being in a pissy mood right now? What is making me irritated? And because we have hormones and women are prone to emotionality, we get sassy and unpleased with minor inconveniences. And sometimes a woman will overreact because she's burnt out, because something happened at work, she got some bad news, a certain business deal didn't go down that she wanted. There could be a number of factors. And the husband he's completely oblivious to the fact that there's this psychotic circus going on in his wife's head, and he simply touches her and she's like, meow, like literally meow. Now I understand the phrase cat fight. Before I'd be like, well, they're just punching each other, why is it a cat fight? But if you look at how so many women lack basic anger management skills, you begin to notice like, oh, wow, that's intense. And the sheer volume of women who beat on their men, and their men never calls the cops on them. By the way, men should call the cops. Who cares if the cops laugh at you because you're a man calling the police on a woman? But these ladies gotta learn. They can learn in a jail cell, before they learn the harder way. Alright? And also, women who have mood swings make this sort of environment in your home unstable. I had to grow up for a little while with my mom, who was bipolar, and that is not fun, and I would never marry someone who had bipolar disorder if they were a man, because I'm not trying to deal with all that, and the side effects of their medication is intense. One of my dearest friend's mom, she has bipolar, and medication caused her to have dry mouth, which caused her to have teeth rot, so they had to remove all her teeth, and now she has dentures. And since I care about that mom, and my mom has bipolar disorder, it's so hard to attach to these people because they have so many aspects about their personality that make it hard to not get hurt. Okay? So let's say you're in the relationship phase of like getting to know that person in the halal way, and if you're a disbeliever, you're dating. You have a full right to ask if they have any mental disorders. And if they have, to ask them directly, Like, how are you when it comes to your anger? Do you have like anger management, coping skills? How do you cool off once you get hot-headed? Because how a woman lashes out or doesn't lash out can tell you a lot. Some women turn on themselves. Some women go and take a nap. Others take a walk. Others take a cold or hot shower. Some eat something, drink something, watch memes, you name it. But there are also women who, oh, well, in order to help my mood swings, I gotta smoke weed. I gotta have a cocktail. And these are haram things, but you won't know that if you don't start digging. Okay? And then there's women who say, like, yeah, I have this problem, but I'm working on it, and I'm doing better. That's different. Because to fix a problem, you gotta acknowledge its existence in the first place. And so many American women are hyper masculine, combative, aggressive, like these screeching feminist monsters, okay? Who they will get right up in a man's face and they'll push on him. It's crazy. I even saw a video one time that a guy put a secret camera and she was getting up in his face. He's sitting down, being calm and collected. She's hitting on him, flipped off his hat. He stands up, and then she like goes back and says, "Oh, are you gonna try to hit me? I'm gonna call my dad." And then you can see she calls her dad, and you realize that there are women who, when they're angry, they get violent, and anger is a mood. And there are women who can go from happy to sad and just these, it's like a merry-go-round. You don't know what's coming next, and this adds a chaos to your life. I'm also going to, if I remember, include some screenshots of a video where a woman was saying you should stress your man, and that keeps them in check. Okay? And she was giving tips on how to stress your man out. So these women don't believe in bringing peace to a man. Don't be his peace, they say. They literally say these feminists. Radfems, femcells, the gold-digging feminists, the occultic witches. I archive what they say, and I can't always interact because they block real quick. And depending on the platform, if they block me, I can't view their content. But it's important to, like, I study them because they're so unhinged, unhealthy, backwards, and miserable that their toxicity has to be treated like a biohazard, like a medical waste site. You know, Chernobyl, you go in with your gear, do this like nuclear power plant meltdown. The philosophy of these women and what they teach is just as toxic and evil to humanity as those things. And I try to demonstrate this on my blog and here. And it's important for us to just have the perspective of what that fringe that is becoming more mainstream has to say. Okay? So if you have a woman who takes out her mood swings on you, I think the word some of the men used once was emotional tampon. You also hear women say, I divorced him because he couldn't meet my emotional needs. Like, excuse me, lady? So her emotional needs are also based on mood swings. And if you're a man and you're going to let this woman puppet you around because, you know, she can't handle no, she can't handle things not going her way, when she's sad, everybody has to walk on eggshells. This is going to cause you to have immense problems. And how she self-soothes through her mood swings is important. If she turns to intoxicants, alcohol, and other kinds of drugs and weed, you're not going to do very well. Now, people will say, well, she smokes weed, she gets calm. No, she's running away from contemplating her thoughts. And she's letting the cannabis take her on a wild Alice in Wonderland adventure where every thought is, you know, a 3-second goldfish blurp. What do I mean by that? They don't sit down and self-reflect with a sober mind and say, dang, man, did I overreact? I kind of went over the line just because I was irritated in that moment. When you smoke weed, you're like, man, look at that. Look at that tree, man. It looks like a face. What did so-and-so say? Man, I'm hungry. Oh my gosh, is that a bug? Like, your brain just focuses on all these different pinpoints, and then you become like scrambled eggs. You can't keep your thoughts straight. and then you've escaped. You've practiced a form of escapism, and you haven't engaged, encountered, and confronted your ideas. So mood swings in a woman can lead to your personal hell. Okay? And if a woman has a terrible mood swing, like some women can cry on a dime. And that's always freaked me out. You will see women who, they're like, they just cry. They have weapons in their eyeballs. Their tears are weapons of war. They're weapons of manipulation. And if you see a woman who, every time she gets into a mood swing, she does the waterworks. You're just like, man, this is miserable. So the dangers of a woman who's always crying, she's Eeyore in Winnie the Pooh. She's always depressed. There's nothing good about life. But then if you also have the one who, when she's angry, she throws, scratches, spits, yanks on your beard, throws things at you, kicks your dog. You'll see women bring out their anger in a number of ways, which push the man to self-defense, and then the feminists will always side with the woman no matter how bad she behaves. It's very rare that a feminist will say a man has a right to self-defense. And so, if you can't find a woman who can manage her mood swings, you have to still have hope and keep looking. Don't give up. So, during your vetting process, this is a very personal and direct question. How do you manage your mood swings? Because remember, women use mood swings in order to not have intimacy. How do those intimateless relationships begin? The man approaches the woman. She's irritated. And you're just like, oh. Tries again another time. And everything sets her mood off. She read a rude comment. Her card got declined. Becky said so-and-so. Martha said this. She got all these things that infect, distort, twist, and puppet her mood. And then she unleashes that temperamental nature onto her bystanding husband who's totally innocent. And then he gets demotivated. And it's like, man, my wife is such a, like, I'll use nice words. Like, she's such a, you get it. You know what they'll say. And then, all of a sudden, that man, he's like, there's a warmness to another woman. A soft charm. She's smiling. And he's just like, oh. Or, even worse, he's paying an OF content creator who's paying someone else to chat for her. And she's being attentive, soft, listening, soothing his mood, and making him feel comfortable, listened to, validated. And next thing you know, he's sending her a bunch of money. Meanwhile, he's talking to some person in India. It's not even her. But you get my point. The colder you are with your mood swings, and the more you're unable to handle them, the more you push your husband away and make everyone miserable around you. And you have to know, as a woman, how to communicate and say, you know what, I'm really in a negative mood right now. Do you think you could hold off and tell me that? Right? Or someone could ask you to do something, like, hey, can you do me this favor? Maybe you're in a bad mood, and you answer too quick and say no, but you're like, let me think about it. I've gotten better at saying that. Let me think about it. I'll get back to you on that. Where you can really sit down and thresh out the pros and cons. Right? And a woman who can manage her mood swings can also manage her happiness a lot better. Because she isn't as waving. Her mind doesn't shift like a plastic bag in the wind. She's able to maintain that sort of self-sufficiency inside her where her joy and happiness can be maintained to a certain degree, even if there's a bit of disturbance. She's able to maintain that inner peace. If you have a lot of mood swings, you're not going to have inner peace. If you don't have inner peace, you create external chaos. and you make everyone else around you uncomfortable. But there will be days, no matter what you do, you're gonna have a tart moment. That's just part of life. But it's how you systematically make an effort to manage your moods, and if you went too far, you fix that. But you have to be careful. It's not that you're a pacifist, but it's not that you're an aggressivist either. It's like you are trying your best to create an equilibrium, and you don't overreact, but you also don't underreact, right? I'm not telling you to be a robot with no feelings. I'm saying you have to know your own self so well that if you feel yourself getting angry or about to transgress, you pause and say, oof, okay, I gotta do something about this. And then look for your soothing techniques, whatever that may be, that are healthy and not haram. And know how to communicate your needs to your husband so that you can have that sort of respect for each other. Because communication plays a big part in relationships. If you can't manage your mood swings and you can't communicate what you need from your partner in order to get through that mood swing, something's going to happen. And think about that hadith that talked about how the Prophet, peace be upon him, would fondle the breast of Aisha when she was on her period. That's amazing when you really look at it, because when so many women are on their period, they feel gross, or they're just irritable, which is natural, and that's when women become absolute rude to their men. And it's funny, if a man says it, the feminists come in like, oh no, you didn't. But I'll see reels that I didn't even ask for on Instagram where women make jokes about how they're hit and are these dragons to their husbands. It's really quite funny. Feminists have that hypocrisy. When the woman makes a joke real, it's okay. But if a man says, hey man, my wife's acting kind of cunty when she's on her period. Oh, how dare you, you misogynist, you sexist. You can just see that these women, they're not consistent. They're not consistent whatsoever. So they're not really after truth. They just want to find another thing to nag men about. But keep in mind that how a woman manages her mood swings is important for also when the postpartum period comes, when she has her children. That's when the hormones are trying to get back into shift. Women cry more. Some women have postpartum psychosis. They're getting lack of sleep. And when so many people change once they don't get sleep. Sleep is so important for your mood. It's so important for your health. And when your body is just like, I need rest, but you have other duties to do, it's quite difficult. So it's so important that she knows how to manage her mood swings, because when a new baby comes around and you're not sleeping through the night, you're going to need to be able to manage yourself as best as you can so that you don't push your husband away. And you don't need to just beat on him because you're having a bad episode, right? Your husband isn't your verbal trampoline. You don't just get to bounce insults off on him. You don't get to unleash your anger on him because you haven't really thought through about your own shortcomings concerning your anger management and mood swing management. So if you want to have a healthy marriage, want to get a good wife, pick one that knows how to manage her moods. You'll save yourself a lot of arguments, a lot of violent attacks. And don't get confused, just because a woman is skinny and she seems like a little Barbie, that she can't get crazy. Okay? Because there's some women, they don't care how small they are. You ever seen a Chihuahua go and bark at like a Doberman? Okay? Those Chihuahuas don't care how small they are. They're just snappy yappy. There's some women who, they'll literally get up in the face of a man and test the boundaries because they're so used to getting their way that they don't have to fix their bad behavior. Because men have allowed their women, their sisters, their moms, you name it, to just show bad behavior, women will use their mood swings and then lash out and get violent. It's fascinating when you look at the lesbian domestic violence rate. I wish they could get even more data now. We should be doing that as a society. But it's essential. That's why we have the punching bag. I can go down there and get some rounds in if need be. But if you get physical exertion out, you often have a form of catharsis. So it's up to the woman to decide how can she get her anger out in a healthy way. What are some things that can help her to move on from her mood swing? And what's the best route for that? Let me know what you think. And please like, comment, and subscribe. Join the blog. Take care.